Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jemudiraye Hare Krishna. Reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 15. Ityayukta stanmatam jnatva gatassa varunantikam aniya datvatan ashvan upayemhe varananam ityayuktastan matam jnatva gatassa varunantikam aniya datvatan ashvan upayemhe varananam ityayuktastan matam jnatva gatassa varunantikam aniya datvatan ashvan upayeme varananam ityayuktastan matam jnatva gatassa varunantikam aniya datvatan ashvan upayeme varananam ityayuktastan matam jnatva gatassa varunantikam aniya datvatan ashvan upayeme varananam. Word-to-word translation. Iti, thus, ukta, having been requested. Tat matam, his mind. Jnatva, the sage, could understand. Gataha, went. Saha, he. Varunantikam, to the place of Varuna. Aniya, having brought. Datva, and after delivering. Tan, those. Ashwan, horses. Upayeme, married. Varaananam, the beautiful daughter of King Gadi. Translation. There is not purport for this verse. We'll read verse 8, 9 and 10 as well. 10. Translation. When King Gadi made this demand, the great sage Ruchika could understand the king's mind. Therefore, he went to the demigod Varuna and brought from him the 1,000 horses that Gadi had demanded. After delivering these horses, the sage married the king's beautiful daughter. Text 8. Translation. Thereafter, Ruchika Muni's wife and mother-in-law, each desiring a son, requested the Muni to prepare an oblation. Thus, Ruchika Muni prepared one oblation for his wife with a Brahmana mantra and another for his mother-in-law with a Kshatriya mantra. Then he went out to bathe. Text 9. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Meanwhile, because Satyavati's mother thought that the oblation prepared for her daughter, Ruchika's wife, must be better, she asked her daughter for that oblation. Satyavati therefore gave her own oblation to her mother and ate her mother's oblation herself. Purport. A husband naturally has some affection for his wife. Therefore, Satyavati's mother thought that the oblation prepared for Satyavati by the sage Ruchika must have been better than her own oblation. In Ruchika's absence, the mother took the better oblation from Satyavati and ate it. Text 10. Translation. When the great sage Ruchika returned home after bathing and understood what had happened in his absence, he said to his wife Satyavati, "You have done a great wrong. Your son will be a fierce Kshatriya, able to punish everyone, and your brother will be a learned scholar in spiritual science." Purport. A Brahmana is highly qualified when he can control his senses and mind, when he is a learned scholar in spiritual science, and when he is tolerant and forgiving. A Kshatriya, however, is highly qualified when he is fierce in giving punishment to wrongdoers. These qualities are stated in Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, 42nd and 43rd verse. Because Satyavati, instead of eating her own oblation, had eaten that which was meant for her mother, she would give birth to a son imbued with the Kshatriya spirit. This was undesirable. The son of a Brahmana is generally expected to become a Brahmana. But if such a son becomes fierce like a Kshatriya, he is designated according to the description of the four varnas in Bhagavad Gita. Chaturvanyam maya sustam gunakarma vibhagasha. If the son of a Brahmana does not become like a Brahmana, he may be called a Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra, according to his qualifications. The basic principle for dividing society is not a person's birth, but his qualities and actions. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Another wonderful pastime from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Lord's another incarnation as Parashuram, the warrior incarnation. Parashurama is well known. He is there in all the yugas. And he will continue to teach next incarnation in the end of Kali Yuga. No, that's Kapiladev. Kapiladev is going to teach. So here in these verses it is mentioned how Ruchika Muni married Gadi's daughter, and after marrying both his wife and his mother-in-law asked for an oblation desiring to have a son. And then he made two oblations, one for his own wife, Satyavati, that chanting Brahmana mantra, and other oblation for his mother-in-law with Kshatriya mantra. For modern science, it's very difficult to understand how person's quality is decided before even giving birth, not sending to high school or university education. Even before even giving birth to a child, they can decide qualities which they want to give to that child. It's very difficult for the material science to understand, but it is proven. It is proven in in devotees' life when they properly underwent Garbhadana Samskara with proper consciousness, when they impregnate their wife with a proper seed, and that seed fructifies with better qualities. Of course, once it comes out, again material nature has its own way to teach, and jiva acquires different qualities. But inbuilt qualities comes through Garbhadana Samskara. Among the Dashavida Samskaras, the first and foremost Samskara is Garbhadana Samskara. So whatever seed one sow, he will reap the fruit. So here, Ruchika Muni thought, being a Brahmana Muni, he want a son who can be well qualified as a Brahmana. But Satyavati, as a natural, Satyavati's mother, having a natural inclination, a natural feminine mentality that my daughter-in-law, being Prabhupada, right in the purport that a husband naturally has some affection for his wife. So she thought, okay, my son-in-law must have given better thing for his wife, so let me take that. But she couldn't understand what she actually need. She couldn't understand what she actually need. She thought, my daughter may have the better thing, but would that be appropriate for me or not? And this type of marriages, anuloma and pratiloma marriages, are common. Here, this is anuloma marriage. Higher caste husband, lower caste, compared to that, lower caste wife. So when Ruchika Muni gave that oblation, Satyavati's mother took that oblation and ate. Being a king's wife, queen, it's a responsibility of a queen to produce a proper son that who can rule the kingdom. But here she is going to get a son who is like a Brahmana. Brahmana, well versed in scriptural science, spiritual science. So this may not be desirable for the king as well as to the society. In recent visit, Urmila Mataji conducted this career dharma. There she was mentioning how a wrongly qualified person, but he is qualified well in his dharma as a according to the scriptures, Chaturvarnya, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Sudra. But if Brahmana is not appropriately engaged according to his own qualification and the capabilities and skill set, they may not do justification to the post they were appointed. Similarly, if an administrator wrongly engaged, so he will not do justification for that given service. So if a Brahmana becomes a king, what happens? Yeah, too merciful. Because Brahmana naturally patan patan yajan yajan dana pratigruhna. So he will completely give away all the possessions. So that's another problem. In the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, we hear when Arjuna want to quit his post as a Kshatriya and want to acquire the occupation of a Brahmana, renunciant, going to the forest and begging. Krishna chastised, no, that's not your duty. So you are a Kshatriya and your qualification and inclination is Yuddhesha Palayanam. You want to fight. You cannot sit idle. You cannot give away in the purport of verse 10, Prabhupada writes, a Brahmana is highly qualified when he can control his senses and mind. But for a Kshatriya, controlling his mind and senses when there is an opportunity to fight, when a provoking situation is there, it's very difficult. But whereas Brahmana, he can tolerate. So in the case of Karna, when he went to Parashurama to learn Astra Vidya, so Parashurama told, I won't teach to Kshatriyas, because he was very angry with the Kshatriyas. And he killed 21 generations of Kshatriyas. So he doesn't want to teach any more to Kshatriyas. He wants to teach only to Brahmanas. Karna went in disguise as a Brahmana. So one day after lessons over, Parashurama felt a bit tired, so he wanted to sleep. He slept on the lap of Karna. Meanwhile, Indradeva or someone comes in disguise as one bee. He comes and he was biting Karna's thigh. Karna didn't, he tolerated that pain because he doesn't want to disturb Parshuram who is sleeping on his lap. And it was such a big wound that little insect made. Blood was oozing from his thigh. And that made so much wet around. And Parshuram, because of that wetness, he got up and he asked, why you didn't tell me that insect is biting you? He said, Gurudev, I don't want to disturb your sleep. And then he immediately understood. If you are a Kshatriya, if you are a Brahmana, you would not tolerate this much pain. So you must be a Kshatriya. Then he said, whatever I taught you, you will forget when there is a need. So you see these two types of qualities. And what happens if a Shudra person or mercantile person, Vaishya person becomes a king? If Shudra becomes a king, what happens? That's current day. All anarthas only. Communism? Yeah, that's really not even Shudras though. But okay. According to Shudra qualification, their way of dealing is they want to see their clients or customers to be happy. So they don't impose any rules. They don't impose any regulations strictly. Fear of losing their clients and customers. So we can see in the today's generation, Shudra becoming an administrator, and they implement all the rules and regulations, laws, just to please the society, their voters, so that they will be elected again. but they don't really impose any strict rules and regulations. Even they impose, that is only to collect money. So that is again Vaishya. So they want to expand and gather some money to run the kingdom. So they, in Vaishya, mercantile, they are resourceful. They want to increase funds for the kingdom to their state by taxes, by expanding income sources, economic development. So that all comes under mercantile. So we can see in today's generation, all the administrator, rulers are either of these two. Either Shudra, they want to please their citizens by profusely allowing intoxication, gambling, meat eating and illicit sex, or somehow or other collect taxes with so many things, 50% tariff, 20% tariff, or that tax, this tax. So only these two kind of people are ruling. And those who are from Brahmana qualifications or Kshatriya qualifications, Brahmana qualifications, they are planners. They want to, they have an objective, how society should progress, how a person should develop their journey. And they have a vision to see where they should lead their citizens. And Kshatriyas, administrators, in the pastime of Maharaj Gaya, it is mentioned a Kshatriya should possess, giving example of Maharaj Gaya, 4 qualities: prerana, upalalana, anushasana, and prerana, upalalana, anushasana, and one more is there. So first one is, you remember? First one, they are very pleasing to the citizens. Prerana. So they are very pleasing to the citizens. And they upbring their citizens as if their own children. So Maharaj Gaya was like that. And he considers all the citizens as his own children. And we see in the case of Yudhishthira Maharaj also. He was very much in that mentality that all my citizens, when in the 9th chapter of 1st canto, we read how he was lamenting for that war caused by his desire, he wanted to be king. And he was lamenting, just by my sake, so many people were killed. So he has that soft-heartedness, prerana. On the other side, when there is a requirement, so he chastises them, anushasana. So if somebody is doing something wrong, he will anushasana. Anushasana means he will correct them with a right attitude. It's not that I don't like you, so I give punishment. Rather, he wants to see their betterment. So that is anushasana. Then upalalana. Upalalana is giving gifts, giving some concession in their taxes when there is a profound rain or when there is so much wealth in the society, in the kingdom. So he will naturally give them gifts. So we don't see these days all the politicians, they do give gifts. India we see before elections just to please their voters. They give gifts, giving a TV, giving a sari, giving watch. Last time when I was in India, I saw every house, wall clocks are there. in the wall clock, that CM photo is there, and Hasta symbol, Congress party, give vote. And fans are there, every house, and every wing written their party name and vote symbol. Saris, TVs were given. I remember one election, we were packing biryani. One of my friend's father, he contested in one election, so he was distributing biryani and quarter bottle wine. So here Maharaj Gaya is not giving these kind of gifts to attract attention of his citizens, whereas Maharaj Gaya, Upalalana, he is encouraging them. Oh, you're doing good work, okay, take this gift. And when there are some festivals or any functions, his prince's birthday or queen's birthday, so they give charity. They give charity. So like that, they upalalana. And it's very difficult to conceive these days. Politicians are actually well-wishers of, thinking that they are well-wishers of the society. It's missing. And what's the other quality? Let me check. Poshana, yes. Poshana. Poshana is maintaining them, making sure that they receive every necessity. And especially, they are engaged in devotional service. So that's another responsibility of a king, making sure the citizens are trying to get ultimate salvation, ultimate purpose of life. So that is also Poshana. So these days, Poshana is pretty much nil. Poshana, those whoever got money, they are maintained. And rest, maintained by, actually, I want to say something, that's okay. And current generation, we don't see that Poshana anymore. And even there is little bit Poshana, maintenance, that's all corrupted. One of my students, when I was teaching in the college, he is from Nigeria. So in a discussion we were talking how country situation in Nigeria. He was telling country is such a poor country, sometimes they don't get to eat anything. And they fry these cockroaches and other different kinds of living entities, they eat. And then I asked him, but many worldwide they collect funds and they send to African countries. What happens to them? He mentioned politicians collect all this ration from different parts of the world, but when it comes, they keep it in the godown and they don't distribute to the society. They don't distribute it to the society, rather they store it. They are so much corrupted, they take bribes and give it to the ration instead of giving to the public. And if nobody takes from them, rats, mice, they eat, finish. But they don't give it free. So like that. So we can see artificial Poshana these days. There is an excess stock produced from either it may be fresh produce or anything. Government regulations are such that when there is a fresh stock, they don't completely release it to the society and reduce prices. Rather, they think if I reduce price now, so I won't get my GST or whatever it is. So they artificially create famine for so many things. On the other hand, government leaders coming from the background of mercantile community, so they want to cash it. They tie up with big industries. Industries actually rule the government. In Australia, we see meat industry and oil industry and this Perth, all the mining industry, they rule the country. So they make laws. Although Australia has so much land and so much farming can be done, still they don't encourage. Rather, they supply meat. They do all the research on the meat industry, projecting that if you don't eat meat, you will lose all the energy, you lose protein. That one of the recent studies, one devotee was mentioning, he was a doctor, he was mentioning that these days all the vegans are converting back to eating meat. So one of the main reason these people give after COVID, since they are not eating meat, so their energy levels are very low and their protein was not appropriate. So doctors are forcing them to eat meat. And that is coming, all the research, everything done by the meat industry. And there are so many subsidies given to meat industry compared to the fresh produce farming. So it's all, they think we are maintaining Poshana, but it is actually other way. They are destroying valuable human form of life. Why? Because there are no qualified Kshatriya administrators. Even to call somebody Kshatriya these days is even to call Shudra is a big honor. And what to speak of calling somebody Kshatriya. Mataji gave, Urmila Mataji gave one sheet giving what are their capabilities engaging in particular activity. She calls them Brahmanas are ideas and Kshatriyas as administrators. Government, yeah. Government and resources, Vaishya, and artist as Shudra. So in the government, we can see under the descriptions Mataji gave, all these four qualities that a Kshatriya possesses. He maintains Upalalana, he, when there is a requirement, he is there, he shows empathy, he uplifts them. So he gives them priority, his citizens. And he sacrifices his own self for their upbringing. And he understands. Whereas on the other hand, if somebody becomes a manager from ideas side, so he is very optimistic in his plans and everything. If citizens doesn't follow, immediately he get irritated. So society needs very much these qualifications. And what is the way to get these qualifications? In university, although somebody may go for getting trained as a politician, there are political science courses, business courses, or engineering courses, but pretty much all these courses are centered around how to get a job. but not finding whether the candidate who joined to particular course qualified or not. If an unqualified person gets degree which he is not suitable, so he makes a big mess out of it. So that's what we see in this today's world. If an unqualified person becomes MLA or MP, so just to fill his belly, his bank balance, he'll ruin the whole society. And I have seen in India, somebody becomes MLA, all his thought, I have next 5 years how to save money which I spent. And for that, they will sanction left, right, center, take bribe, sanction. So, and what is the result of that? Same old story continues. They cannot able to go any good for the society. And we have seen in our village, roads were not there in my childhood, all mud roads. And somebody promises, okay, I will become an MLA, you vote for me, I will build the road. So once they become a MLA, they will give contract to somebody very cheap. They build the road. With one rain, all the cement, everything gone. You see only conker coming out, big stones. Or they build a project, it collapses. Or they try to get something, finish. Or they give approval for some inappropriate thing. It's all there. Why? Because one single point. Wrong person at wrong qualification, wrong qualified person at a wrong job. So that's very important to propagate spiritual knowledge. Systematic propagation of spiritual knowledge is very, very important, because when a person understands overall picture, life journey, how everybody is involved in universal progress, purpose of life, purpose of existence, they can make some good. They may not be doing ultimate good, but at least some good. So we can see one example, India's Prime Minister, Narendra Modi. So although he may not be, because he is a politician, we cannot blame him, especially Kali Yuga politician. But at least coming from dharmic background, he encourages spirituality. And wherever he goes, he tries to give Bhagavad Gita, give that knowledge, and approves at least projects backing spirituality. But in the current, other than him, we don't get to see anybody encouraging. Rather, they encourage aggression, they encourage war, they encourage many things other than spiritual progress. There's another thing, having a qualified person. And Kshatriya, not just having this fierce mentality, not just having Kshatriya, not just having the ability, that protection. When it comes to knowledge, they are well knowledgeable in scriptural science, spiritual science. In the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, 4th chapter, he says, Imam Rajashya Vidu. So this knowledge coming in the disciplic succession, when great kings learned this science of Bhagavad Gita, by learning Bhagavad Gita knowledge, spiritual knowledge, they make good to themselves. In the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, we hear so many kings, after ruling successfully, they retire. They retire and they go practice spirituality, try to engage in devotional service. And while ruling, they help to uplift citizens and even to take our own example. Before becoming devotee, we may have different inclinations, but after few years of studying scriptures, practicing, so we try to learn. I remember myself, in the beginning days, I was very rough. Still now, very rough in dealing. So I think if I am doing, everybody must do. Not much understanding that everybody individual, they have their own abilities. But as progressing, seeing examples, seeing behavior of other devotees, slowly learning how to mellow down, how to grasp everyone's inclinations, and then act accordingly. So as a practicing devotees, we can see how our abilities to deal with people change. Our ability to handle situations change as we are progressing, because we could able to see ultimate picture when dealing with people or when dealing with situations. Ultimately, how to please the Supreme Lord. So all the four varnas are there, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, is to please the Supreme Lord. Santusti, Haritoshanam. If all these varnas are not unified way, not working, and not to please the Supreme Lord, then it becomes Asuric varnashrama, demoniac. So one may be ruling very good. All the citizens are very pleased by the king. But if that king is not personally practicing devotional service to please the Lord and not encouraging the citizens to become devotees, it's just Asuric varnashrama. So we can see in the kingdom of Ravana, he was a great king. He was very nicely taking care. And we can see Jarasandha. He was very Brahmanically disposed to please Brahmanas. But, problem, he is not practicing devotional service to Vishnu, and he is not encouraging others to become devotees. Although they are ruling very good, but if one is not encouraging devotional service, it becomes disqualification. Overall. And Prabhupada writes, it's not just by the birth, but the qualities and actions. Qualities and actions. And Śrīmad Bhāgavatam and Bhagavad Gita elaborately explains what are those qualifications of a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Sudra, and what are their actions. But all these qualities and qualifications and actions will come just by performing devotional service. That naturally brings different qualities which are dormant. Initial days we may not see where our qualities and qualifications or actions fit, but by practicing devotional service, by chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we see how these dormant qualities and actions are coming. And being a devotee, must be transcending all these modes. Because Brahmanas are in the goodness, Kshatriyas are in the passion, Vaishyas are in the mixed passion and ignorance, and Shudras are in ignorance. In devotional service, devotee acts transcendentally, going beyond these three modes and works for the pleasure of the Lord. And that we can see, for example, book distribution. Aniruddha Prabhu always gives this analogy. In Sankirtan book distribution, a devotee carries loads of books. Carrying that much load is a work of a Shudra. And he daringly stops someone and presents this transcendental knowledge. So that is a work of a Kshatriya. After distributing book, stopping, and he asks money, exchange. So that is a work of a Vaishya. And then he giving knowledge, patan patan, ajan yajan. So that is a work of a Brahmana. So by engaging in book distribution, one actually doing all the four varnas job. And it is to please Guru and Krishna, and it is spiritual, transcendental activity. So book distribution, so very, very important. And also Harinam. Harinam is also same thing. Daringly you have to go anywhere, this chant, giving knowledge of spiritual life. And entertaining also. So you dance nice, sing nice. So that is Shudra activity, but still it's a transcendental. So, and any activity we do, that's a transcendental when it is pleasing to Guru and Krishna. And Prabhupada, in the final days, he says 50% of his work still remaining, especially for establishing varnashrama. It's a very tricky subject to implement varnashrama in the current dynasty, that not many people are inclined, even among the devotees, not many are inclined to leave their current positions, current career, and get trained as a Brahmana or Kshatriya. It's very difficult. But engaging in devotional service and all the activities in Krishna consciousness, at least while doing Krishna consciousness, engaging in whatever qualities they have, according to their nature, when they engage, they feel happy and they can go far and deep in devotional service. That's what my understanding. If somebody having Brahmana inclinations, but if he engaged in other services, other than Brahminical services, we don't feel happy doing them in a long run. If somebody is very active by nature, if that kind of person engages in Brahminical services, they feel very bored. Brahminical services need cleanliness, planning, scriptural understanding, studying. If person is not inclined to that, when they were given those services, they really feel very bored, they don't get connected. So even for devotees, it's very important to engage according to one's own inclination. So that helps us to move forward, but the ultimate inclination we should develop is how to please Guru and Krishna. So that actually makes one happy. So as long as that is not there, and all other will not make really sense, if it is not just please Guru and Krishna. Okay, I'll stop here. Any corrections, please?
Question by Sevya.
Okay.
Prabhu, you mentioned how Kshatriyas, Brahmanas, they have different qualities like Kshatriyas are warriors, Brahmanas are more into reading, scriptures, spiritual books, and bhakti. Also in the Ekalavya pastime, it is mentioned that one should perform duties according to one's propensity and capability. However, Lord Krishna says that anyone who can raise himself to the platform of bhakti is eligible for reading scriptures, doing bhakti, not only Brahmanas. So how to understand these two?
So as I mentioned just now, we engage according to our natural inclination, but wherever we are, our common goal is to progress spiritually. So to grow spiritually, one need to have knowledge and practice both. Knowledge comes from the scriptures. In that way, we transcend the modes. And then practice, our devotional practice helps us to stay tuned in whatever we are doing. So both should go hand in hand, but in the initial days, one should engage. One should engage according to the. So we can see, of course, Srila Prabhupada is beyond the modes, beyond anything. But we can see as a businessman how Prabhupada used his natural tactics in dealing for Krishna. When he acquiring any new temple or bargaining temple price, so all those. And we can see his Kshatriya spirit fighting, Juhu pastime. He was a very strong fighter. So one can use anything, but in the beginning, we come with an open mind to learn, and then to get purified, engage in the service according to inclination, but towards the end, transcend and do only to please Guru and Krishna. So in that way, one get purified. Okay. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki Nitya Gaur Premanande. Hare Hare Bol.
Adi Puri